All right, so this is the main screen, or let's go here. So this is what you see when you log into DacDb. If you're using the newer interface, and I always have this down. If you go to my club, you come up with all these icons, and of course you can move these icons around and put them where you want. And depending upon where you move them here, when you go over to any other part of DacDb, you have these little shortcut tabs. So I always keep this grants thing right down here at the bottom because I do use it frequently, right? So whenever you log into DacDb and go to the grants tab, this is what you're going to see. And if people are patient and if they read through this initial offering here, you'll learn about 99% of what you need to know about the district grant process and getting through the DacDb process. So normally what you're going to do as a club member is you're going to come down here to the grants view tab. And of course, since I'm a member of Fishers, this is what I see. And this is where you would work. If you're going to create a new grant, you come over here and just click on this button that says new grant request, and you process through. That gets you started right there. Let me back up just a minute. What if you want to know what's going on in the district? How do you find out about that? Well, here you have the district grant view. If you click that, you see everything that's going on in the district and in what stage. You folks don't get quite all of this, but you get the major fields. And you can see what is going on. And one of the important things after you create a grant and you want to go back and work on that grant is this yellow pencil over here. This is the only way that you can get in and work on your grant after you've opened it. If you click on the name of the project, you just get a general review of the project. You can't do anything as far as editing is concerned. You must.
You have to be an authorized person to be able to do that.
Yes. Really, one thing is very important. Normally, you can log into DacDb without your club number, and you can get by. You can see things, that type of thing. But if you want to do anything with district grants, you have to use your club number on that sign in. And if you don't know your club number, just go and open up your club and you'll find it there under your club. Okay, so you got your dash, let's see, you got district view, area view we don't use. That has to do with AGs, assistant governors. Club grants view, secure files. Here is a list of lots of little goodies that you might want to look at. There's that slideshow I sent out for today's program. You have the terms and conditions of the Rotary Foundation, document retention guidelines, memorandum of understanding guide, global grant calculator. This is very important. If you're working on a global grant, you really need this. Rotary Showcase user guide, compliance questionnaire, so forth. So you can look down through there and pick a document that you want to use. You just double click it, it downloads, and you're ready to go. So we'll back up. Admin. One of the things that is mentioned under the grant overview is that you have to come in here and set your grant signature, your club signatures. And so here for the Fishers Rotary Club, we have, yeah, we got a mistake. He was past president, so we get rid of him.
Yep, there you go.
So for every year, you come in here and you put in the club president and the club president-elect. And then when I look at things, I come over here and I look and I can see who has done their thing and put in their data. So for 1920, we're looking pretty good. We could look at 2021. Let's back up. One of the mistakes people make is getting into the wrong year. Ryan, how do I get rid of this thumbnail over here on the right-hand side of all the people that are on this?
Which thumbnail are you trying to eliminate
Okay.
here?
Oh, I got it.
Okay. False
Okay,
alarm.
so here you see change org year. So you just come over here and click. Let's take a quick gander at 2021 here. And so this is for next year. Here's this memo again. It's a little different. We try to improve it every year. See where, oh, okay, club signatures. So you can see here that not too many clubs have gotten on ball yet, but we kind of contribute that to the COVID issue, but we'll try to encourage those clubs to start thinking about it and getting their jobs done here. Also notice, I don't want to pick on Crawfordsville, but you notice here they got 4 people listed. Only 2 people, president and president-elect. Anybody else that you want listed for the grant, you put them in the grant under contacts. So we'll show you that in just a minute. If you have any questions, let me know. So let's go back here to Club Grants View. And as you see, we have 2 different grants for Fishers, and this will work out well for us because there's 2 different stages of the process are demonstrated here. So here under the draft, we go to the pencil, and this is whenever you start a grant, this is what you're going to see. This is the initial opening screen. So you have some details to fill in. So here's your title of your grant. Make it short and sweet. If you're going to do a COVID-19 grant, be sure to include the COVID-19 code here in the beginning so that we can acknowledge that. You know, this is a one-time thing for the Rotary Foundation. They are allowing us to spend money, work grants related to COVID-19 before the Rotary Foundation actually approves the grant. We get to work ahead of time here just because of the situation that we're in. So if you have a COVID-19 related project in mind, go ahead and submit it as a regular grant in the 2021 year process. We'll take a look at it. The committee will look at it and say, hey, you know, good or bad, yes or no. And then we'll get back to you and tell you, okay, go ahead and do it. And then when it comes time to fill out the spending plan, we'll just include it. When we get the money in sometime, hopefully mid-July, then we will send you 50% of your grant at that time. There's a project. Question?
Steve,
Yeah.
just Shu here, clarity on that. That's anything that a club has started to provide with service from March 1.
Yeah,
That
March
would,
25th.
oh, is it March 25th?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're going to do, this is an automatic thing here, RI project number. This always appears, it looks blurry here on the screen because I have dash lane, a password manager. And this is one of the negatives of having a password manager. It throws this extra stuff in fields that it shouldn't do. But anyway, this is 9304, I think. And here's your priority, your grant priority. If you're going to do more than one grant, be sure to tell me which grant priority this particular grant is. How important is it to your club? Of course, here is the Rotary grant year that you're working in. And notice, you know, if you screw up and I catch it, which I have done recently, I can change it. You can't change it. I can, you know, if you notice that you've put it in the wrong year, call me and I'll change it for you so you don't have to type in all that information a second time. We don't use this round. This is, some districts will offer 1, 2, or 3 rounds of grant submissions. We just do it all at one time. And then pretty self-explanatory down through here. And you can tell us when your target date of completion is, which is nice. And then the area of focus. You know, Rotary Foundation has 6 areas of focus. And it is very important for global grants that you must have at least one area of focus. For district grants, we don't necessarily have to have an area of focus, so you can use this other over here anytime you want. And of course, now this was the COVID-19, so that's been fixed. And then enter here a project description. What I really want here is a 1-sentence description of your project, because I'm going to take that 1 sentence and use it as part of the spending plan. That's all it takes, is 1 sentence per grant that goes to the Rotary Foundation for approval. So this is your best shot at funding approval through the Rotary Foundation. All this information down here at the bottom is for internal use only, and you don't have to worry about it. So let's go back up here to clubs involved. We have had, on rare occasions, clubs going together and working a grant, and that's fine. You can pool your resources that way and come up with a grant. We have had also, we had a couple of clubs that wanted to do a global grant but couldn't get involvement in the foreign country. And so they each applied for their own individual grant, and we funded that up to $10,000 per club. But each club applied for it individually. So take your pick. You can do whatever you want. You just pick a club here, hit the chevrons, and it appears over here. Or you can take it back. Very simple. Contacts. Now this should be the 3 people in your club, or at least 3 people in your club, that are involved with the project. We want at least 3 people in the club. Now you can see here that we got Jerry and Jim, because they're president and president-elect, but since we put them in under the signature fields, we don't need them back here on the contact list. So just the people that are really involved with the project are listed here. We go to the application. Pretty self-explanatory here on your date fields. This is a critical entry. Where do you want the money sent? So fill this out. Typically it's your club treasurer. We always, just to make sure that everything is always kept on the up and up, so to speak. All the checks that are sent to your club are always made out to the club, the Rotary Club of, and then sent to this person that is listed here in this field. So now you have the opportunity here to fill out more information about the grant in each of these 4 fields. And then if you have somebody that's working with you, a partner, you can put them in here. And then here is where the tick boxes are for the club president and president-elect. Trying to work with DacDb right now. You have to have these boxes ticked. Whoever's creating the grant, and it's probably not the president or president-elect. But these 2 boxes have to be ticked. If they're not ticked, then you can't proceed through the process. So whoever's creating the grant will tick those. And through our training efforts, we're telling the club presidents and president-elects that, hey, to read and understand the MOU. All right, so we move on here to the budget.
Steve, can I add something?
Sure.
Just want to make a comment to everybody. So those 4 tabs at the top are the first 4 tabs you see. You will not see the budget and the documents tab until you save the application at the end of this 4th tab, the application tab. So once you save the document, upper right-hand corner, then you're going to see the budget and documents tab. And as Steve has said, at the top above those tabs, it'll say it in words exactly what I just said. Once you save, you'll see the budget and documents tab.
Right. It's really important, this field up here at the top, read that thing. It will help you understand where you are, and always get in the habit of going up here and hitting this save button. It is critical if you don't want to type it in again to save it on a regular basis. Okay. Once you save it, once you get through that application process and you save it, then as Bob says, you get the budget and the documents fields. So let's look at budget. It's pretty easy to do. You come over here to add an income source. And so you give it, really income sources are pretty much 2 things, really. It's either going to be club fundraising or it's going to be DDF. And so as you can see, cancel this. As you can see here, we have picked club fundraising and then DDF. And you specify that by these radio buttons down here. You enter description and the amount, and then pick one and click add. And then your expenses. Excuse me. You can enter as many expenses as you wish down through here, and the amounts. You just keep adding them on. And you'll see here you have a graphic display making sure that your expenditures meet your income, or vice versa. And the budget summary here, which should if any luck at all, show 0 right here. That's what you're shooting for. Of course, keep in mind that you could have a lot more expenses than you have, well, no, you can't have more.
You can have more expenses than
You could be spending more money than 50%. You know, we're only going to fund up to $5,000 or $7,500 this year. You could be spending a lot more than that, but so this would not necessarily reflect that. But that doesn't happen very often. The vast majority of all of our grants are just a 50-50 match. And then, of course, save it. Always save it. Documents. Okay, now this is an interesting field, and it gets a little confusing maybe. If you want to upload documents and you want to put them in the documents file, you would just open the file and come over here and do upload, and then you would choose your file, so it would be looking in your computer for that file, and then you can upload it. I would ask you to, receipts and checks and all that kind of stuff, you're going to be scanning those in. Well, your scanner always assigns a number to every scan. Please change that to something that I can understand, like canceled check or receipt from Hoboken Hardware or whatever. Make it make sense to somebody that's going to look at this in the future. And then you have images, you can upload pictures, and you can put them under these tabs, particularly if you have a large project and want to keep things really well organized according to that. I don't mind if you want to just upload it on this field right here. What will happen is this field will just keep expanding downward, and we don't have to go up here in the future and open the documents tab or open the images tab to see what you're putting in there. It just all shows up right here. And so far, I haven't seen more than 6 or 7 entries right here. So you don't necessarily have to embed it in these files. And they don't have to be, I think somewhere in here it talks about putting them in JPEG. If you put it in JPEG, it shows up. If you, let's see, I don't want to go back there. I showed you when you clicked on the name of your grant, when you were looking at it in the Club Grants view, if you click on the name of your grant, if you upload documents here in the JPEG format, they will show up automatically in that view. But I don't care how you do it, just as long as you get the grants, the paperwork scanned and named and uploaded.
Steve, question.
Sure.
If you want to add more folders in here under backup documents and images, how do you add another folder or a couple of folders?
Right in the right-hand corner here says add folder.
Okay.
But you probably, this stuff is, these district grants are just not that complex. 99% of them are just really simple, single transaction, or maybe 2 transactions expense-wise projects. It's just really simple, and everything can just be uploaded right here without any trouble. So do whatever, any way you want it. Just name the documents so we understand what they are, so I don't have to sit here and click everything that does appear, so to approve the grant. It makes the grant approval process much easier. Okay, so whoever's doing this, they've gotten this far, this documents tab is really not necessary until you actually start closing out the grant. But nevertheless, here it is, and it'll always be here. This documents tab will always be here. So you save the grant. Whoops, wait a minute. You've got this far, and now you want your club president and president-elect to sign it. So how do you do that? Come right up here and say Club Collect Grant Signatures. You click that button, and an email with very specific directions are sent to the club president and president-elect and anybody that is listed in under contacts. So the whole committee gets to see the whole process as it is unrolling. So you just click that, the emails go out, and hopefully the president and president-elect will open their email and they will read it, and they will come back in and they'll review the grant, and there will be a box right up here. Let me move on here to another grant. Let's look at this grant. It's much, you see, this has already been signed by the club officers. And so now you see the activity log and the signature log. This is interesting. This activity log is it's more interesting to me than it is to you. But you can see everything and who did it related to this grant process. So we think that's a nice feature. And then you can see the signature log and see the signatures that have been done. And then this is where I come into play. I can look at it and I can revert it to draft, or I can reject the grant in total, which I really haven't done yet. And then I sign it. And let's see, yeah, we're ready to do this, so I'll just do it live here. We sign the grant. This is what your club president and president-elect see when they go in and to sign their grant. So I sign it. And so now it goes into a different field. Back, let me show you that field. We go to district grant field, district grant view, and you can see club district. Okay, so now here for district review and approval. Here's the one we just did. So it's sitting here. All these other grants are just waiting for me to take their information and put it into the spending plan to be sent to TRF for their approval. Once TRF approves it, I come back in and send you, or I will come back in and click the pencil and approve the grant, and your club officers and your club contacts will each receive a letter saying the grant has been approved, go forth and work your project. Let's go back to club grants and back to SAW there. Well, once the grant has been approved, you'll want to do a final report. And let's see here. I'll just have to, I'm going to say it, this grant is approved.
Steve,
And
you
so,
can change it to 1920 and look at the final report.
Yeah, well, I've already done it.
Okay.
So here, see, once it's approved, you get two more tabs. And you have your interim report which is very simple. Notice it's pre-populated with your description from the application. And then you can tell us what's holding up the project, when you think it's going to be done, and any other pertinent information that you think is required. And you save the interim report. It won't let me do it. So anyway, you save the report, and then there will be a button up there that says collect signatures. And when you push that button, another email is sent to the club officers and the contacts. The club officers will go in and sign it. It's the same process, just happens again. And when you're finally done and ready to submit the final report, here it is. And so it's just, again, it's pre-populated with the pertinent data. You just have to fill in the number of people that benefited, the number of Rotarians who participated, how they participated, and any what the cooperating organization did to help fulfill this project. You would again save it, and you would again submit it for club signatures. The emails would go out. The club officers would approve, sign it. It would come back to me. Let's go back here and look at the district grant view. And it would pop up. Let's go, okay. It would pop up in here under district and, oh, right here. And it would say over here, the status, final report submitted. And I look at this stuff because every time an email goes out, I get a copy of it. So I kind of, in the back of my mind, I'm kind of tracking you. And so I know to come in here and take a look and see what's going on here in this status. And when I see that you have actually submitted a grant for approval, I come in and take a look at it and verify all the information. And if there's anything lacking, I'll let you know. We'll get the proper information collected, and then we go to the next step, which is approval and funding. I authorize the funding, and the district grants treasurer gets an email once I approve it, and she writes the check, and then she completes the grant, and you get another email saying that the grant has been completed and that check is in the mail. Famous statement, the check is in the mail. And that is the grant process in a nutshell. Any questions?
Steve, I think we already talked about this, but one of the important things for everybody to understand is that changing that Rotary organization year, when you notice when Steve came up into this, it populates the current Rotary year. But again, your training for today is for next year's Rotary grant year. So you have to, if you're putting in a new application, you got to be sure to change the org year to the correct year when you're filling out that application. Now, the benefit is you can also go back and see how other members of your club, maybe another grant committee member, had done it a few years ago. So you can go back to 2018, 2019, if there's similar data or similar grant that was applied for in that Rotary year. So it's really important to make sure you get the right Rotary year.
Thank you, Bob.
Steve, I'm seeing in the Lebanon grant approval,
Uh-huh.
to me, it's unusual, a $500 DDF and a $700 other funding. Isn't that normally a 50-50?
Right. Well, they must have asked for it. Let's see, what's it? Oh, this was a COVID. No, they didn't. They screwed up and they didn't put the COVID thing on there. this was, let's look at this. The budget, they're asking for 500 and they're going to provide 700. They must have come up with $700.
But is that unusual though? I usually see them
Yes.
50-50. Great.
Yeah, it's
Right.
normally 50-50.
Thank you.
Sure. I'm glad you looked at that. I'll change this name to get it related to they're buying meals for Boys and Girls Club, the people who attend the Boys and Girls Clubs. Very worthwhile grant.
Yeah, what that is, Steve, is they have a boys club that's feeding children, up to 250 children per day
Wow.
that were on free lunch in the school
Right.
and are doing a beautiful job with it.
Yeah, this is one that I probably should. I just moved this over here. It was in the wrong year, and I moved it over here.
Steve,
So,
this DacDb module contains reference to the 5,000 that we need to go in and revise now, right?
yes, up here in the grant overview,
Right.
we can put that in here. Someplace in here we have that up to number I can't remember. Right here.
Yeah.
We can change this for
Just for this year.
just this year. Anybody else got any questions? If you do have questions, feel free to give me a call and or send me an email. If you have a process question about the website, be sure to be in front of your computer. And most of the time, we can walk you right through whatever issue you're having and get you back on track pretty easily. Because I can look, this is one nice thing about the DacDb program is you can have it open several occurrences of the same screen or the same login open at one time. So I can look at your grant as you're looking at your grant, and we can work through it.
Which of
And I
course
guess the
we
most
have done
important.
many times.
Okay. is
Steve,
be
I have a
sure-
question. Are you ready
Okay.
for questions?
Sure.
Is there anything special we have to do to use grant funding for scholarships for high school graduates?
No, just
We've never
create.
done that, and I've noticed those all through here.
Yes. Yeah, that's a very popular thing to do for a club to offer grants, scholarships to the high school kids. I think Rotary's been doing that since it began. Seems like.
Yeah, we offer scholarships, but we've never used grant money to enhance
Right.
those.
Right. Well, this is your opportunity.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
I will tell you that last year we were we had so many applications that we actually did run out of money last year. And one of the things that we trimmed first was the high school scholarships. We cut them. The very first thing that we did was cut the scholarships. So just I think that seems to be the easiest place. That has the least amount of impact is with the scholarships.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm. What else? Just be sure when you log in to log in with your club number. That is key to being able to get around inside the grants module. Because if you don't log in with the number, some of those little boxes up in the right-hand corner to submit for club signature and submit for grant approval and things like that, they won't appear. So you're stymied. You're thinking, what in the world am I doing? I can't work this. Well, you just need to be sure to enter your club number. Crucial. And in order to do approvals, everybody in DacDb has got a security level. The average everyday Rotarian is a level 1. And committee chairs are usually a level 3. President officers are level 4. And then it goes into district levels 5, 6, and 7. So you want to make sure that whoever's working on the grant is probably a level 4. If they're a level 3, they probably won't be able to submit for a signature, but they can always send an email to the club president and say, hey, go in and submit the grant for signature, sign it, and move it on. So there's always a workaround, but if you make the person, that's another good reason to have a grants person in your club, and make them a level 4 and let them kind of supervise the whole process. It'll be easier for the club. It'll be easier for me. Questions?
Steve, if you'd be so kind, would you explain as to how a club could help that person get to a level 4? Who do they contact? How does that happen?
Okay, very good, thanks. You contact the club secretary. The club secretary has the authorizations to go in and change any member of the club to any level that they're, up through officer level.